The Lifestyle Show with Mary Harboe.
Perhaps our next topic is not going to be easy listening, but certainly it's well worth giving it an airing. And we're very pleased to welcome to the programme Louise Allen. Her new book is called The Cutting Girl. I think you've been on the radio with us before, have you, Louise, I believe?
I have. Thank you so much. And thank you for having me back.
No, you're welcome. Yes, it's lovely. And I know that you do a lot of media appearances. You are a great spokesperson for all that you stand for. Including, of course, you're an amazing foster carer. I mean, I know we're going to talk about the book and the heavy sort of issues in there, but can we sort of touch on the foster caring to start with? How did you get into this? This is, I think, such a worthwhile thing to do.
Thank you so much. Yes. Myself, my husband and my family have been a fostering family for now 12, nearly 13 years. We started off, it was my husband actually. He came from, when my little boy, they're men now, but when they were little boys, came home from school with a leaflet saying, you know, would you like to get involved? And that's when I said, would we like to get involved? Yes. So it evolved from there. And I've been going at it for 13 years, looked after over 30 children now. Some stay long term. Some refuse to go, some short term. But we're still pumping along. That's what I write about in my book, Thrown Away Children, is about how bonkers our lives are really as foster carers, and how we kind of navigate the world for the children through what is evidently in a broken system. But we're still here. We still keep going. We love it.
It's remarkable. At the moment, do you have children with you at the moment?
I have two with me at the moment. I have a long term, and we have a visiting child that we hope maybe will convert to medium to long term. So it's love. We absolutely adore her. So we just hope that all the paperwork goes through, and it's a difficult time, but our job is to protect her from all that. Yeah.
I imagine that some of these children come quite damaged to you. They've been through perhaps dreadful circumstances. You're agreeing with me. I know that for you this is a sort of an everyday occurrence, but I think that many of us choose not to think about these things because they are really uncomfortable to think about.
There is, and I grew up in care myself, so I have some insight into the levels of abuse. So I am, even with my own abuse in my experience, I'm still shocked, sometimes horrified, maybe, but sadly just crack on with it, because I know that what has been done I can't solve, but I mean, I try and help in a bigger way, and actually trying to raise awareness, and sometimes nudging the authorities and governments to do more, you know, with phones and stuff to protect our children. That's when fostering became really, really, really challenging, is when they introduced phones, and no one absolutely knew what to do. No one took responsibility. So the foster carers are left clearing up the mess. But some of it is horrendous. There's a lot of sexual abuse, and I think that's prompted by too much pornography and access via the phone and the internet. I think parenting is no one teaches parenting anymore. So you have fully formed adults in their 40s and 50s who'd rather game than actually spend time with their children. So we have a screen-fascinated generations of parents. And then you have parents actually just neglect because they're too busy with life. So, you know, I think we all need to think about our priorities. And I think I would rather not have so many fostering colleagues. In actual reality, I'd rather that children stayed with their families. It's just that all families go through bumps and difficult times, and that can be prevented and helped. But a lot of the children actually who really need the help don't come into care. It's too tricky.
What happens to them?
We don't know entirely their lives. They get bumped around at schools, usually on the whole reject those children because their behaviours. Schools can't usually understand. They don't have the time, school teachers are teachers and we're asking them to be social workers and therapists as well. They're there to teach. You have classrooms of 30 plus kids. And they exclude them. And then when you exclude them, this is what my books are about. They go into crime or they go into depression, mental health issues. So I just think we all need to decide what we want and who we are when it comes to children.
Yeah, and as you say, you've written many books about this. We've got the new book out, which is The Cutting Girl. This is the first installment. There's going to be a series going after this. And I just find it sort of I find it remarkable. I find that you perhaps... It's not normal, but you've heard and seen all of this before. But this situation of county lines, this underground drug network that now stretches right across the UK, and children are used as mules by these large gangs to sell Class A drugs, and they're incredibly powerful. The network is strong, isn't it?
There's over 6,000 last count, I believe, probably increased different lines. And when we talk about lines, we're talking phone lines. So again, that's mobiles. Some people think it's train lines. It's not, it's mobile lines. Exploiting children and using them as mules is nothing new. It's been going on since the Roman times. And you remember Fagin and Oliver Twist was exploiting children then. And I'm sure that there are other levels of exploitation in the movement of opium and sexual exploitation that wasn't written about. What is new is, again, technology. And just as county lines was, I believe, according to my sources, launched in a restaurant in London in the early 70s. And has been developed before. That was just using landlines and phone boxes, and the technology has just helped it go out of control. And we're also, in a time when criminals are clever people. And they run their operations like, top businesses. And I would probably suggest that top businesses somehow might be involved in these networks. It's big money, and they're exploiting children. They get them into debt bondage. They terrify them. And I write about girls. I've looked after a few girls that have been involved with county lines, and I was myself involved with. I was a mule for heroin when I was 14, and I lived in London. I lived in Oxford, and myself and my friends we didn't really understand what we'd got ourselves involved in. We were moving heroin in the evenings on the train, because it's only an hour and a half up to London, to drop blocks of drugs off to a nightclub in London. Then we go back into Oxford and just move about town with some cash in our pocket. But we didn't. They're called roadmen now. You see them around with their bags going across their fronts and their trackies and their very expensive clothes. And my lot were rockabillys. So this is nothing new. What's new is the size of it. And also in 2015, you couldn't make this up, but it all happened. Theresa May, who was then our Home Secretary, just got rid of 22,000 police officers who were on our streets protecting our community, and closed down local police stations and desks across cities and towns. And in rural areas, it's lawless. They jumped with joy when they heard that the local police stations, because there's nowhere for people to go. And how, if you call the police up, as I've done myself many times when I've lost children, they've just gone from my care. It can take you 4 hours to get through to the appropriate person. So it all feels wrong. And I wrote the books because, a lot of my work, and I set up a charity to help girls called Spark Sisterhood, to help girls from care find employment. Because the girls are vulnerable in so many ways, mainly because of their biology, but girls are recruited for county lines, probably as much as boys. We don't hear about it. We've been sold through the media this image of county lines being mostly black boys in hoodies driving Beamers. That isn't it. It's not in the cities. They come out of the cities and they drive through the towns and the villages and the hamlets. You know, they're hiding in disused barns and country buildings. And somewhere like Somerset, and large rambling and Dorset, maybe Devon and Cornwall. You've got vast areas of landscape which is unpoliced. And if you go to Cornwall, you got the M5 corridor and take you there. You can get on a boat to Southern Ireland, can't you? So you kind of look at it from a pragmatic point of view, but I focused on girls because I want to tell their stories. I want people to look a bit harder when they're walking about, because girls, the moment anything happens to them, they're called sluts. And that's gone on forever. And they get pregnant often not because they're sluts, it's because they've been raped and they're being used. And the girls that I've looked after were being sexually exploited. Then they are terrified and they then have to go and recruit more county lines children. I've worked with a child of 6. That's my last book.
6?
Yeah, the 4 or 5-year-old girls are being used, taken out of nursery and school, and their backpacks are filled with drugs. And they just walk holding the hand of the drug dealer through town. No one picks it up on CCTV because it looks like their dad. You know, we're hiding in plain. Not we. I'm not county lines, but the gangs are hiding in plain sight.
Yeah. They're not afraid of anything, are they? They're not afraid of anything.
The police have limited powers and resources. That's because most of their powers and resources, to do work like this have been removed. It all adds up to make you ask many more questions. And the children, the girls aren't the loud, gobby ones. You know, they're usually the quiet girls who are targeted, the girls who might, and these are very intuitive people. They can see who the vulnerable children are, WhatsApp groups. They set up WhatsApp group and parents and kids are just innocently giving all their information and they'll just separate one out and then talk to them. And then I've known girls to be recruited in an hour. They get on a bus, go to town, that rites of passage journey, but most girls love. They get ready to go out on the Saturday with their friends and they've come back and they're actually now recruited by county lines, especially if girls come from single, and it's sort of like all county lines, it was kids in care, but kids in care, the foster carers are so trained and educated. And we present, I make sure that all the children I got all the gear. They got everything. So they're not targeted as poor. They wouldn't know they're in foster care. And you get children whose mums are maybe single mums or, a lot of people are in poverty at the moment. A lot of children want to help their mums and their dads. And, it's that emotional attachment and that pride and all that love that they want to do right by their mums. And then if they refuse to do the work, they get sent to photograph their mum or a younger sibling with a message that we'll kill them. If you don't get on that train, we'll kill them. And also the new group. My first book, Charlotte's Story, is the story that this isn't just about, working people, non-working people. They're targeting private schools.
Yeah, her father was a politician. Her mother's a senior medical officer. She was at a private boarding school, this girl that you're writing about. She had a very privileged upbringing, if you will, and yet it all happened to her.
And it happens so quickly. What people don't understand, it can happen so quickly that you don't know which way is up. The child is targeted because of their assets. So if a child, they'll weigh up a child, family involvement, private schools are really good for that. And private schools want to protect their reputations quite dramatically. So you'll probably not hear of the stories. And there's an assumption that everyone's fine. But I've known schools where criminal leaders, gang leaders, send their own children cheek to jowl with everybody else's children because they've got the money.
It's remarkable, isn't it? And that this happens, as you say, in plain sight. I mean, we could all have seen this happening as we move around the UK.
Yes.
And I must say, I mean, I'm from rural Norfolk, and I know that it exists there too. And I know of a case that there too.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
It is absolutely everywhere. And, you know, I put a post up not so long ago about the numbers of what I'd call fake Turkish barbers that are appearing in our towns, in the next door to each other, and nail bars, vape shops, and sort of empty hairdressers. You know, and you go past these barbers, and there's just one guy on the phone sitting in the chair, no customers. You know, you've got to ask yourself what's going on. Yeah. Money laundering can be done through local news agents, car boots, and a lot of the families are under the pressure as well to launder that money. The whole families get involved, not because they want to, but they want to stay alive because the threat is too great.
Louise, do you think that the police and the government and the whole of the sort of social network, if you will, just turn their back on this? It just seems remarkable that, you know, with all of the communication that we have now, how actually we have no communication.
It's very clever, isn't it? It's overwhelmed the sector. I think that it depends on who's in charge in particular areas. So if you have a police commissioner or if you have an MP in a particular area that work well together, that want to stamp this out, then there's more hope. But county lines, like everything with children, has become politicalised. And there's few resources as far, you know, and you're relying on intelligence. And if police forces are overwhelmed, then what is reported might not be recorded. You know, so there's a lot of questions. I mean, I've been following this for the last 10 years. And because I was involved myself, and that was years ago, that was in the 80s, you just think, well, the phones are a gift for the gangs. But I think it's down to, I mean, I believe you should shine a light on it. I think if you're in a community, the community has to be brave and shine a light on it, because they go where it's easy. You know, when they're closing down youth services, when they're closing down other things, you know, they're not stupid.
Unfortunately, they're
not stupid.
So, I mean, yeah, shine a light on it. You're doing that in spades. What can the rest of us do?
Be vigilant. Keep calling Crime Stoppers, keep telling the police, don't take no for an answer. Just be vigilant. And these children, if they're not your children, they're someone else's children, they're children. And it's amazing how quickly we criminalize them when they're actually victims and they have no choice. If people knew, if they literally have a gun against their head, they can't say no. And it's like the girls in my stories, they once you're in, it's really difficult to leave. So it's slavery. I don't think we do anywhere near enough. We kind of have little sound bites through the media, don't we, every now and then? But anything to do with children, they will never talk about the big picture, because I don't think they know how to. And I don't think they've got the resources or the wherefore to do it, because the same old people sit around the same old tables going, let's make change. And of course, that never happens.
It doesn't happen. Well, sadly,
No.
These are true stories we're talking about here. This isn't fiction. This is non-fiction that Louise Allen is writing about. And her series is called Slave Girls. We've been talking about the cutting girl, Charlotte's story, which is one of, unfortunately, many from what you've been saying there. I want to thank you very much for shining a light on it and all the brilliant work that you're doing, and the fact that you keep cheerful and optimistic and you keep going there, I think is an example to us all. Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you.
Thanks
very
Louise.
much.